My sister falsely accused me of stealing her expensive diamond necklace, so I got her arrested and discovered she'd been running a secret criminal operation that destroyed multiple lives, including my parents' marriage. I never expected a simple accusation to unravel our entire family's dark secrets. I've always been the family's disappointment. Growing up with my perfect older sister Jessica was a constant exercise in feeling inadequate. She was everything I wasn't: popular, athletic, and our parents' undeniable favorite. I'm Madison, 27, and throughout my entire childhood, Jessica, 31, always seemed to be one step ahead of me in everything. When we were kids, Jessica would get straight A's while I struggled with C's, despite studying twice as hard. She was captain of the volleyball team, homecoming queen, and got a full scholarship to an Ivy League school. Meanwhile, I barely made it into community college before dropping out to work at a local cafe. It wasn't that I didn't try. I just couldn't measure up to the golden standard Jessica had set. Our parents never tried to hide their favoritism. Dad would beam with pride at Jessica's volleyball games, but conveniently had work emergencies whenever I had a school event. Mom would plaster Jessica's achievements all over social media, while my small victories went unnoticed. For my 16th birthday, I got a used laptop. When Jessica turned 16, she got a brand new car. Despite all this, I never resented Jessica. She was my big sister, and she'd always been kind to me, even when our parents weren't. She'd help me with homework, defend me when our parents were being unfair, and include me in activities with her friends when she didn't have to. I loved her, and I thought she loved me too. After college, Jessica landed a prestigious job at a financial firm in the city, while I continued working at the cafe, eventually becoming the manager. I was proud of my modest achievements, even if they paled in comparison to Jessica's. I'd finally found something I was good at, and I was saving up to open my own bakery someday. Everything changed last Christmas when our family gathered at our parents' house. Jessica had recently gotten engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years, a surgeon named Ethan. Our parents were thrilled, of course. Mom couldn't stop talking about the wedding plans, and Dad had already offered to pay for the entire thing, something I knew would never happen if I got engaged. During the holiday dinner, Jessica was showing off her new diamond necklace, a gift from Ethan. It was stunning, a teardrop diamond pendant on a white gold chain worth at least $5,000. Everyone oohed and ahed, and I genuinely complimented her on it. She let me try it on briefly, and I admired how it looked before returning it to her. The next morning, the house erupted in chaos. Jessica was screaming that her necklace was missing. She'd left it on the dresser in her old bedroom, and now it was gone. My parents immediately joined in the panic, turning the house upside down looking for it. Then, in a moment I'll never forget, Jessica pointed at me. "Madison must have taken it," she said, her voice cold. She was the only one who showed interest in it last night. I was stunned. "What? I gave it back to you right away." "You've always been jealous of me," Jessica continued, her voice growing louder. "You probably thought no one would notice if you took it." Our parents looked at me with suspicion in their eyes. It was clear they believed her without question. "I didn't take it," I insisted, but no one was listening. Dad stepped forward, his face stern. "Madison, if you took the necklace, just give it back. We won't be mad. That was a lie." They were already mad. They had already decided I was guilty. "I didn't take it," I repeated, tears forming in my eyes. "I would never steal from Jessica. You know me better than that." But apparently, they didn't. Mom suggested they check my room and my bags, and I agreed, knowing they wouldn't find anything. While they searched my belongings, I sat in the living room, humiliated and hurt. How could Jessica accuse me like this? How could my parents believe I would steal? After an hour of searching, they found nothing, but that didn't clear my name. Jessica suggested I might have hidden it somewhere else or already pawned it. My own sister was painting me as a thief to our family. "Maybe we should call the police," Mom suggested, looking at Jessica. That was the last straw. I stood up, grabbed my bags, and headed for the door. "I'm not staying where I'm not trusted," I said, my voice breaking. "Call the police if you want, but I didn't take anything." I drove back to my apartment in tears, as unable to comprehend what had just happened. Throughout the next week, Jessica continued to accuse me to anyone who would listen. She told our extended family, our childhood friends, even my coworkers. Suddenly, people were looking at me differently. Some stopped talking to me altogether. I tried reaching out to Jessica directly, begging her to believe me, but she blocked my number. Our parents called only to ask if I'd reconsidered confessing. It felt like my whole world was crumbling around me. Then, 2 weeks after Christmas, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Ethan, Jessica's fiancé. "Madison," he said, his voice hushed, "I need to talk to you about the necklace." We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown. When I arrived, Ethan looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, clearly stressed. "I know you didn't take the necklace," he said once we were seated, "because Jessica never lost it." I stared at him, confused. "What do you mean?" Ethan took a deep breath. "The necklace was fake. I couldn't afford a real diamond on my resident's salary, so I bought a cubic zirconia. Jessica found out somehow and was furious. She accused me of embarrassing her in front of the family." "So she made up the theft to save face?" I asked, trying to process this information. "It's more complicated than that," Ethan replied, lowering his voice. "Jessica has expensive tastes. She's been pressuring me to buy her luxury items I can't afford. When she found out about the necklace, she needed a way to explain why she suddenly didn't have it anymore." I sat back in my chair, stunned. So she blamed me, ruined my reputation, turned our family against me, all to cover up that her necklace wasn't real? Ethan nodded, looking miserable. "There's more. I think she's been lying about other things too. Her job, her finances. I found credit card statements showing massive debt. When I confronted her, she threatened me." This didn't sound like the sister I knew, or thought I knew. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked Ethan. "Because I'm scared," he admitted. "And because you deserve to know the truth. Jessica isn't who she pretends to be." I left that meeting with my mind spinning. If Jessica had lied about the necklace, what else had she lied about? I decided to do some digging. I started by calling Jessica's workplace, pretending to be a potential client. To my shock, they told me Jessica hadn't worked there for over 6 months. She'd been let go due to ethical concerns. Yet she'd been coming home every day, pretending to return from work, telling elaborate stories about her job. Next, I talked to a mutual friend who worked at a jewelry store. She confirmed that Jessica had tried to pawn several items of jewelry over the past year, items that matched the description of pieces our mother had reported missing, but never filed police reports for, assuming they were just misplaced. The more I investigated, the more disturbing the picture became. Jessica had been living a double life. The successful financial analyst was actually unemployed and drowning in debt. The perfect daughter was actually a thief, stealing from our own mother to maintain her facade of success. But the final revelation came when I hired a private investigator. He discovered that Jessica had been running a sophisticated identity theft operation, targeting wealthy clients from her former workplace. She'd been opening credit cards in their names, making purchases, and then selling the items for cash. The PI estimated she'd stolen over $200,000 this way. I was devastated. The sister I'd looked up to my entire life was a criminal, and she'd been willing to destroy my reputation to protect her secrets. I had to make a choice. I could confront Jessica privately, giving her a chance to come clean and make things right, or I could take everything I'd learned to the police. I decided to give her one chance. I invited her to meet me at our parents' house, with them present. To my surprise, she agreed. When we all gathered in the living room, I laid out everything I'd discovered: the fake necklace, the job she'd lost, the pawned jewelry, the identity theft. I had documentation for all of it, thanks to the PI. Jessica's face went from shocked to furious. Instead of confessing, she exploded, accusing me of making everything up out of jealousy. Our parents looked bewildered, unsure what to believe. "Just admit what you did," I pleaded with Jessica. "You can make this right before it gets worse." "You've always been pathetic," Jessica spat. "No one will believe you over me. No one ever has." She was right about one thing. Our parents were still hesitating, still wanting to believe their golden child over me. So I played my final card. "The police are on their way," I said quietly. "I filed a report this morning with all the evidence. They'll be here any minute to ask you some questions." Jessica's face drained of color. She glanced toward the door, then suddenly bolted, pushing past me and running outside. We heard her car start and speed away. My parents stared at me in shock. "You called the police on your sister?" Mom asked, horrified. "No," I admitted. "But I will if she doesn't turn herself in. She's committed serious crimes, and she tried to frame me. This isn't a misunderstanding. She's hurt people." It took hours to convince my parents that I was telling the truth. They kept making excuses for Jessica, suggesting there must be some explanation. It wasn't until I showed them the credit card statements in our mother's name, accounts she'd never opened, that they finally began to accept the reality. Jessica disappeared for 3 days. During that time, 2 detectives showed up at our parents' house, asking questions about her. Apparently, her former employer had finally pieced together the identity theft and reported it. They had evidence linking Jessica to the crimes independent of anything I'd discovered. On the 4th day, we got the call. Jessica had been arrested trying to cross the state line with fake ID and $30,000 in cash. She was facing multiple felony charges. The aftermath was brutal. Our family was torn apart. My parents' marriage, already strained, couldn't survive the revelation that their perfect daughter was a criminal. Dad moved out, unable to forgive Mom for enabling Jessica's behavior by always covering for her. Mom spiraled into depression, blaming herself for not seeing the signs. As for me, I was finally vindicated, but it felt hollow. I'd lost my sister, watched my parents' marriage collapse, and gained a reputation as the family member who sent Jessica to jail, even though she'd done that to herself. In a bizarre twist, Ethan and I became friends through the ordeal. He was as much a victim of Jessica's deception as anyone, having been manipulated emotionally and financially throughout their relationship. We supported each other through the trials and media attention. Jessica was eventually sentenced to 7 years in prison. She never apologized or admitted wrongdoing to me or our parents. The last thing she said to me in court was, "You'll always be nothing compared to me." Maybe she's right. I don't have a prestigious degree or a glamorous career. I'm still managing a cafe, still saving up for my bakery. But I have something Jessica never had, integrity. And slowly, I'm rebuilding my life on my own terms. Sometimes I visit Jessica in prison. She refuses to see me. Perhaps that's for the best. Some betrayals can never be forgiven, and some sisters were never really sisters at all. As for my parents, they're trying to make amends for years of favoritism. It's a slow process, rebuilding trust. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that appearances can be deceiving. The perfect sister, the favorite child, was living a lie so deep she drowned in it. And me, the family disappointment? I'm still standing, stronger than ever.